All right, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Now, there's some questions I have. Now, are there going to be charges against the people that showed up at the Idaho 4 case house and failed to call the police right away? And here's the thing, 50 to 100 feet away from that house, these people are so called saying that that camera picked up everything. The recording, the camera picked also his audio and picked up everything. And you're telling me people in that house could not hear or understand what was happening? If you can hear that kind of a chaos and commotion 50 to 100 feet away at the next house, right? Or whatever the closest house was. I think they're saying it was like 80 some feet or 50 something, 100 feet away, which we don't know if that's true. That could be a fake video itself or recording. But you're telling me nobody in that house, if it was that gruesome that people could hear screaming outside that loud, how did the people downstairs not hear nothing? And here's the other thing, they have a witness, right? That's what they're saying. So someone witnessed a man in there, right? They have a witness. They have a recording of all this, but supposedly nobody downstairs heard anything, and no one called the police. They call their friends to come over there. Their friends show up. They don't call the police. They wait and here's the thing is the time gap, which is very suspicious. Even if the girls were shocked and they called their friends, once their friends came there, right, they should have, well, you would think they'd be like, are you kidding me? Call the police. But they didn't. And this is going to take a, you'll see this in the trial, is that distance where no one did nothing. And that brings in a lot of suspicion of what actually was going on, right? Could he have been dating one of the girls? They're claiming now he didn't have no contact, he didn't know the girls, but I find that hard to believe, right? So, well, you remember the one video that came out of them interviewing Brian Kohlberger's neighbor in the apartment? And what did she say? That one night, out of the blue, one girl showed up there, stayed there or something overnight, and disappeared. Beautiful girl that looked like one of the girls, right? So is it possible he did know one of the girls? And it was some kind of a jealous, drug fueled thing. It's very possible. It's very possible. And that's what I'm thinking, is there's just too much stuff going on with the drugs. People saying, well, there was more people that night. He drove someone to pick up some cocaine and all this stuff. Maybe it was 4 or 5, 6 guys involved in it. Hello, Debbie. I know you're a very busy woman, but thank you for being here. So, will they be charged with failing to call authorities in a quadruple murder? You don't wait 8 hours, 7 hours, something like that. It ain't making sense, folks. It's really fishy. Something's up. They all knew each other. There's video of Brian in that bar, right? That they all went to and hung out. Jack in the bar and all them dudes that were in the bar, right? Brian drank around there. He knew some of them people. So for him not to know anybody in that area, I, or any of these people, I find it hard to believe. Uh, it's possible he didn't have no connection at all with any of the girls, but I don't think so, folks. He was pissed off about something. Either somebody ran their mouth about drugs and him maybe selling it or what he did. Well, he's training to be a criminology. If you're a druggie, you know, and that gets out, that kind of ruins your whole career, right? He's wasting his time going to school because once that rumor got out that he was a druggie, they would never let him be a cop. They would never let him to be. They would never let him be a criminology guy. They would have got rid of him, right? They would have got rid of him out of school, everything, right? I mean, he might have got a job, but that would always be a mark on his record that he's got a drug problem. So, is it possible that there was more involved? Yeah, heck yeah. And I can't. I'm what I'm not getting is nobody called the police. Even people that weren't there, that didn't see the murder at the time, right? They might have been shocked, but you know, the first thing anyone in their right mind would have said is call the police. They didn't. Nobody did until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The next day. That ain't making sense, folks. I mean, I can understand the girls were traumatized, but when people showed up there, right? If they were in the right front, if there wasn't anything fishy going on, meaning clean the house of any drugs or anything like that, because the cops will be here, if there wasn't anything, well, help us clean this up. It's got my fingerprints all over it. Anybody in their right mind would have stumbled into that and said, call the police right now. This is crazy. What do you mean? Don't call the police. They would have been, there's a chance you could have saved someone's life, but they didn't. They didn't. They called the police and said, well, we're here because we think someone's passed out, right? We can't wake them up, right? You don't wait that long. Blood all over the place and you think they're just passed out. It just didn't, it ain't making sense, right? And it's starting to make more sense that this might have been bigger than what people were thinking. We're seeing that in the Delphi case, right? There was more than just kiddie stuff, and there was drugs and all kinds of crap, gangs or whatever, kiddie porn, more than just one person involved. So would it shock me if they came and said, well, this was a crime of passion, which they're already saying? It very well could be. If he was sleeping with one of them girls and something went wrong or got jealous or something like that, or one of them girls or Ethan was going to rat maybe on one of them, because they were mixed up in the drugs or whatever. They all could have been drug dealing and whatever, and someone slipped, said something, bada bing, bada boom, they had to go. Right? And he went in and killed him or whatever. Very well possible. You're looking at a criminology guy. They make good money, folks. Right? They make pretty dang good money. Right? So somebody getting the word out that he's a doper, a junkie or whatever, would have ruined his career. There goes the 100,000 or 250,000 a year. Being a criminologist or whatever, 100,000 a year or whatever. Yeah, and his credentials. No one would believe anything he said, any case he worked on. They would second guess. Why? Because he's a druggie, and they would take that in consideration. Now, He's a heroin addict. You know, they would be taking everything in consideration of is he is he telling the truth, or is he on the take? Meaning, is he uh, rigging cases for money or drugs? Right? I mean, anything is possible. But they got him. They got him, and we're just wanting to know how many more is there, right? Brian Kohlberger would not be in prison right now, folks, if he had nothing to do with this. If he was smart and he sold that knife, he would have told the police that. He would have gave the person up, unless they were a pack, unless it was like a cartel, a drug. You don't run your mouth. But anyone with half a brain, if he wasn't the killer and he borrowed that knife to somebody or even sold it after he bought it, he'd be running his mouth, right? He'd be out of jail. He'd be running his mouth. Hey, I had nothing to do with it. I sold that knife, and here is the dude that I sold it to. Right? Even if he borrowed it to somebody, that, hey, I borrowed a knife to somebody. I didn't do no killings or anything. That's how my DNA got on there. Right? If he was set up, he would have said, hey, that's my knife. That's my sheath. And that explains the DNA. But I didn't kill them girls, and I'm missing a knife. Someone stole it out of my car or apartment. See, there's numerous things that he could have did and said, and they would have checked on it. And if he was completely innocent, folks, he'd be free. If anything, he'd be on witness protection. If he knew who the killer was, if he gave the knife to somebody or let them use it, and other people's DNA was on that knife, then that would explain it. He might have had something to do with it, being that he gave it, to someone to use. If it was all this talk about drugs, is it possible he killed someone to get drugs or owed someone money or whatever? Yeah, it's possible. Could he have been dating one of the girls and got jealous? Drug-fueled rage and went nuts. Yeah. And here's the thing, we won't know until court. But I'm going to tell you what. This video floating around my bad weather radio just went off. Hold on a minute. Now, here's the thing. We don't know, so we have to be safe, because it could have been many of them, right? Could have been a small gang. What? We don't know. But if it was as gruesome as these people were saying, and the police did come out right away and say it was a crime of passion, meaning that dude loved probably one of them girls, knew one of the girls, might have been sticking up for one of the girls or somebody, and he killed him. Here's the bottom line. They got him, right? They got him. That's the bottom line. If they didn't have proof, if they didn't have nothing, he'd be a free man right now. If anything, on witness protection. All this, well, he was the DoorDash guy. Well, he would not be in the predicament he was in right now if he was the DoorDash guy. Simple reason is he would have said, I was the DoorDash guy. I knocked on the door. I came in. The door was open. I asked, hello, DoorDash. Walked around. I carry a knife because I carry money, right? I don't want to get robbed. I walked in. I seen a bloody mess. Tried to help. I got scared and left. That's why my knife was there, right? He would have said these things. The police would have checked it out. And if everything added up, right? he'd be a free man. But he ain't. They got too much on him. Data, DNA. And why would Brian Koberger, the first thing out of his mouth when he got arrested was, "Have you arrested anyone else yet?" What? If that's true, that he said that, that's a dead giveaway that someone else was involved. Did you arrest anyone else yet? Right? That's him. Now, either he was planting seed into the heads of the police or maybe prosecutor, whoever, right? That delirious to make them think there was more involved when it was just him. Either way, and even if it was just him, which I don't think, if someone else knew about the murders or what was going on, I believe. Because if it was him alone, why would he come out and say, "Have you arrested anybody else?" So maybe they have all these guys on camera, the people that were walking behind the police in the body cam footage, the 4 or 5 guys that walked past there. Maybe it was a burner car, meaning they knew what was going down. They needed a vehicle that looked like Brian's. Why? Well, so someone can get set up, possible, or to throw people off. Brian's car is the real car that did the murders, and they needed a burner car that looked similar to Brian's. Thus, for enters everyone now talking about, well, there's 2 cars. One's got a sunroof and one don't. Right? Same cars, same color, same area, same places where Brian's car was and everything. Well, that would scream burner car. And you see a lot of that when people are trafficking drugs. They send out a burner car in front of them, a chaser car, where if they think the police are going to pull over the drug car that's carrying the drugs, the car that looks just like the car that's carrying the drugs goes crazy and starts making dangerous moves, and the police go after them and diverts them away from the drug car, the drug guy. Well, this would be the same thing. The murderer was being protected. It's possible. I'm not going to take it off the table. Where they had it planned. Right? Brian's going to go in. He's going to do the killings, or whoever, Brian and someone else or whoever. And we're going to have 2 vehicles, the same, look the same, except one's got a sunroof, which people might not have seen, and the other one don't. So anything's possible, folks. Everyone's saying it's like a movie. Well, it is. It's just like a movie. Where do you think movies come from? Real life stuff that people do. The big thing is the time. That is the big thing. That's going to be a big thing in court, is the time that passed before anyone called the police. They had people show up there that was their friends. They didn't call the police. Something fishy happened there. There was a reason why they called people to come there, their friends, but yet they did not call the police. Even when their friends showed up, they waited that long time before they called the police. And that brings in suspicion of what in the heck's going on. Plus, you got a video camera, a recorder that picked up screams banging 50 to 100 feet away on a ringtone thing. And you're telling me people in that house didn't hear nothing? They thought it was just a party? I don't know about that. Interesting. It's very interesting, right? Now, we all know Brian Kohlberger is innocent until proven guilty. But when the chips are stacked too high, you either you either cut a deal or you're in it for the long haul. And the long haul is the death penalty, meaning he'll probably be executed and probably right away. Not wait 10 years. Oh, he's waiting for execution. No, they'll probably execute him right away. And that's the thing, is them are key things in this case. Is the new DNA, that there was other DNA that they got that are two males and one woman. That's another key thing in this case, including Brian Kohlberger's DNA. So is it possible? Anything's possible, right? I'm not throwing off either that Brian Kohlberger was the DoorDash guy and he just stumbled in on a bloody mess and panicked and left, right? I'm not throwing that off the table. He could be innocent, but he should have ran his mouth instead of trying to play lawyer to outsmart. You're not going to outsmart these people, right? You're not going to outsmart the government. They ain't going to let you outsmart them. You do outsmart them, they're going to be watching every move you. Brian Kohlberger, if he outsmarts these cops and he makes them look like a fool, they will be watching him his whole life. There will be such that this guy outsmarted the FBI, CIA, the government, the police, everyone, right? Why is his own family have suspicions that he did do the murders? Now they're saying they were even suspicious. They got one of them. Now it's up to Brian Kohlberger where this case goes. He can sing like a canary and cut a deal if anyone else was involved, right? But here's the thing. I got a feeling that they ain't done running Brian Kohlberger through all the computers. And I got a feeling he's done this. This ain't a first time thing, man. Right? My beliefs. Right? I think once they run everything through, there's a good chance he might have been a robber. I'm not saying he's a serial killer, but well, I did say that in one video, but there's a good chance he's something more that people want to believe. They don't want to believe this, but is it possible? Yes. Is it possible that Navy SEAL guy or military guy that had PSD, that they knew each other and everything? Yep. Is it possible someone killed him for Bryant? Yeah, possible. Here's the thing. Bottom line is he had to have something to do with it, or they would not go as far as they're going right now with it. If they didn't have a case, he'd be out. I have a feeling they got him. And I have a feeling it's more than just the Idaho 4 case. There's too many coincidences and too many MOs that are matching women that are coming up missing in Pennsylvania. Everywhere it seems like he vacationed or traveled, someone is dead, maybe, right? He could have been so angry because he wasn't a handsome dude. And I notice a lot of these handsome dudes, if they're not handsome, they indulge themselves in their work to make money, to make big money. Why? To get a beautiful woman, right? So he could have been so angry and nobody wanted him. Nobody, he could have been so angry and just was out killing everything. we don't know. It wouldn't shock me if that's what they said. The world is corrupt, folks. We're seeing that. You don't have to slap me in the face with a sledgehammer to know when you walk up to me. It's a sledgehammer, right? Something's fishy's going on. I have no idea yet. I have a feeling, but it'll be interesting to see, right? The main thing is the gap where they didn't call anybody. Some of them kids could have lived. And that's what's fishy to me is they didn't call. Why? They wanted them to bleed out. Make sure the job was done. And that's what's suspicious. These people are thinking, how do you know this? Well, it just makes sense. If you watch enough crime shit, you start thinking like these idiots, right? You start putting things together. Why wouldn't they call the police? That long? Well, they were shocked. Well, I understand that, but new people came in to the house. Why didn't they call the police right away? Right? That's the thing. I can understand the girls were upset, shocked, whatever it may be. But the new people that they called their friends to show up there and they didn't call the police until 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock the next day. Happened at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's almost 8 hours. Right? Bodies to bleed out. They want to make sure they were dead. And that's just a theory of mine. That's just a theory of mine. I don't know if that's true or whatever, but if you're a killer or something like that, what would you be thinking? Well, you don't want to call the police. If you were, you want to make sure they're dead. They might have been able to live if they would have seen what was going on and called the police right away. There's a robbery going on. Police would have showed up, even if he had a chance to do the damage that he did. Them kids would have had a chance to live. They could have been saved. And that's what's scaring me the most in this case was the girls didn't do anything. The friends that they called to show up there didn't do anything right away. They didn't make no calls to any authorities or nothing. They didn't make a call until 11 o'clock the next morning, a.m. or whatever, or 12 o'clock. That is key. Why? Well, we were shocked. What do you mean? You call to get everyone out of the house and you call the police. What do you mean shocked? Right? As soon as you walked in that house and you seen the girls crying or whatever and blood, upset, whoa, call the effing police, right? You don't sit and wait. Well, we thought they were passed out unconscious. We couldn't get it. There was blood in the, you call the police. They didn't. And that's going to be a key thing in the case probably is why such a big time gap? Does that make sense to anybody? Why such a big time gap? First, they were saying the murders happened between 12 or 2:30 in the morning and 4. And then they changed that and said, nope, it happened about 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So about 4 in the morning, he was out of there by they said real fast. It was a messy job. He was out of there about 4:20, 4:30. All right. And he left a witness. Oh. And no one called the police. Nada. Zero. No one called. But we do have evidence that they called their friends and they showed up. Did anyone call the police? Nope. Not until 11 o'clock. Right. When did the friends show up there? What about all the people that drove by and said the front door was open? when they got there, right? What about all that? Now the police saying, no, the doors weren't open or whatever. Something happened. Something's fishy. And I'm not taking anything off the table. Hey, Ricky. So, yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. No, Dave, Ricky, Dave's is not tonight. What's tonight? Wednesday? Uh, I think it's next week, Thursday, or this week, Thursday. Tomorrow? Or Thursday. I don't know. I'm too busy on this. So there's my thing is the time span. All the evidence we're now getting that's coming out. The new DNA of three other people's DNA was there at the house. Uh, that's all coming out now. Brian's car scene being parked by the apartment, right? Could he have parked there, shut the lights off, went, did the murder, walked back, turned the lights out, or didn't even turn the lights on? I see the car leave, but I'm not seeing headlights. So he might have did the murder and drove out of there with the headlights off, right? I don't think he parked right next to the house. That would be, there's a good chance he did, but something like that, taking chance with cameras, I would have, thought that he would have parked away from the house and he would have walked in and walked out, right? He would have had a better chance if he was dressed for the job to walk in and walk out, because he would have been better off not to be being seen. That car is an object, a big object. It's going to be noticeable on camera and in people's eyes. Oh, yeah, I did see a white car go by, right? If he's dressed all in black and he decides, I'm going to park 500-600 feet away from the house and I'm going to walk in. Therefore, I'm going to get the job done and I'm going to walk out before anyone sees me. I'm going to be all in black. Even if a camera sees me, it's not going to see me. It's just going to see a silhouette of a black shadow. Right? You're going to have a harder time figuring out who's the black shadow than whose white car is this. But I could be wrong. He could have parked right next to the house. For him to park right next to the house, though, he would have had to have help or known exactly who was in that house, where they were, to be that arrogant to park, pull up. There's cameras in that area, to pull right up, get out of the car, go do the killings, come back, drive past all these cameras. It ain't making sense. I think maybe it's possible he could have parked behind the house on that road, walked in and walked out, walked down the hill, jumped the fence, and did the murders and walked right back out, right up that hill. And it's possible he could have walked around by them white buildings, them other apartments with the giant white roofs on them. He could have parked there and walked in. Them cameras were down, supposedly, from what they're saying. Did he know that? I don't know. He's a criminologist going to school. He knew police, right? He knew police officers. There's photos of Brian Kohlberger with cadets and police officers. Could he had info that them cameras were down? I don't know. Was he a hacker? Also, did people shut the cameras out? Well, anything is possible. Let's turn it into a great movie, or at least a TV episode, right? But there you go. That's my opinion, is the time span. And it's too fishy, folks. All the drugs and him, first thing out of his mouth was, "Did you arrest anybody yet? Anyone else?" That was a key thing. Like, sometimes these guys, they don't they don't realize what they're saying. They're confessing, and they don't even realize it. It's almost like Jesus working through them, right? He gets picked up by the police. They go to his mom and dad's. They pick him up, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "Did you arrest anybody else yet?" You know, right? The guilt could have came out. He could have known right there. They got him, and that's why he said, "Did you arrest anybody else?" He could have been monkeying with their heads, but usually, probably the guilt, or just so lost in psychosis, he probably was saying all kinds of stuff, maybe, and didn't even realize what he was saying. I don't know. It'll make a great movie, though, or at least a TV episode, right? And then you got to bring in that Brian Kohlberger's sister was a movie actress, right? Was this done for some movie thing? It could have been, folks. You don't know. These people will do anything to become famous or help their family. Maybe he did it to help his family. We don't know. We know this much. He'll probably try and make money off of it with books and movies. The families will. Right? Probably even Kohlberger's family, maybe, possibly, unless they really come down on him for it and say, "No, you ain't making no money," like that other killer, where they were like, "You're not profiting off of other people's stuff." Right? Yeah, Ricky, have a good night. Be safe. God bless. I think Dave's is on Thursday night. What is today? I don't even care. It's Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's on tomorrow night. Either tomorrow night, or he canceled it. Next week is Thursday. I think it's tomorrow night, Thursday night. And then we go back to Wednesday. And then he goes back to Wednesday night. But that's my opinion on it. A lot of people, what's going on? Could he have done it? Who could he have done it? Could have? Yeah, anything's possible. Like I keep saying, we're not taking it off the table. Not at all. Some people are saying they can see someone else in the vehicle with them. Right? Now that's a shocker. Right? Hey, that's the thing with cameras. There's even cameras at stoplights. Right? One of these cameras pick up someone else in the vehicle with them there, and that's how these. Yeah, it's possible. Right? It's possible. Now we'll see in court, won't we? Because I know there's more than just the cameras that we're seeing, folks. You understand, this is such a big case. People in that neighborhood probably were looking. If there was a camera anywhere in that neighborhood, the stores, they probably all turned that evidence in to the police. Right? I got him. Here he is driving past my house. Here he is driving past the store. Here he is driving past my house. Here he is driving, stopping at a stoplight. Here he is. They probably got all kinds of cameras, footage, right? They probably got all kinds of camera footage with that, which we'll never see until court. Right? It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to go, we don't know. We're interested to see whose other DNA was on that. The knife sheath was found underneath one of the girls. Explain that. It could be explained. He tried to help her, right? Tried to maneuver around or whatever, but realized he couldn't help her and left. Got scared and left. But if that's the case, he would have told the police that, "Hey, I'm a DoorDash dude, delivering some food." I walked up and the door was open. Right? Seen bloody footprints. I walked into the house, walked upstairs, asked, "Hey, my food?" Seen a bloody mess. Heard people screaming for help. I tried to help. I panicked. I ran out of there. He would have confessed to that, and they would have checked into it, and it would have been all good and done. They're not. They got him. Now they got to get him out of it. If he is innocent, now he's got to prove it. Right? We'll see in court. Everyone have a great night. Be safe. And don't take anything off of the table. And remember, people make fake videos, even media, and we know YouTubers do. So all this stuff we're seeing actually could be fake. All fake paperwork and photo opt paperwork. Yeah, I know it's crazy, but I can tell you it's happened. You folks have a great night. Be safe. I want to thank Ricky. I want to thank Debbie for stopping in tonight. And anyone else that watched. And this is just my opinion and theories, and we ain't taking nothing off of the table on this channel. Not here anything. They're all innocent till proven guilty, but they are all suspects now. Even the roommates, right? Now all these new videos coming out saying, is it possible he was dating one of the roommates? That's very well possible. I've even seen videos that the one girl was a transvestite, was a trans or whatever, and they didn't want anyone to find out about it, and people were going to reveal that one of the girls that lived there was a transvestite or whatever, a trans man or whatever, or born with a I don't know. This is the videos that are out on YouTube about this case. It's possible. It is possible. They didn't want anyone to find out, so they killed the people that knew the truth. Well, it's possible. They'll do crazy stuff these days to cover up something like that. Who knows? God bless everybody. Amen. And hope everybody's 4th of July was good. Have a great night, folks. Sorry to take up your time. Once again, thanks, Debbie, and everyone that stopped in.